Hi guys, I'm gonna do a celebrity reading on Joan Crawford. Sometimes it's fun for me to do readings on people who have departed because their energy is like from another time, and it's really interesting, like to sort of feel like their values in their world. It's like going on vacation, I guess, to another like time travel vacation. This is my cat Heaven. Like he's quieter than my dog and just as cute. So Heaven, sweet. He's an older cat. When I found him, he was super tiny and just skin and bones. Like you could see the vertebra or however you call that in his tail. He was that thin, and he's been like really, really sweet and a great friend to me and my kids for many years. Okay, so I'm going to focus on Joan Crawford right now. I'm picking up her powerful personality, and like she could really like tell you what's what very directly with some like anger and stuff. But mixed in with that energy is like this sort of like self-love that is mixed with like divine purpose kind of thing. So it's not like all yucky. It's sort of like this complicated kind of laser good and bad. Like let's just say like maybe she wasn't able to like refine her communication style. But I feel like she was like her part of her purpose was to be like groundbreaking. And being you know, it's like kind of in this feminine body but with a very powerful no nonsense kind of presence. And like it does resonate with a lot of people, and she is iconic, so it did have a lasting effect. Like some people can like have their lifetimes and they don't resonate through time, but like for better for worse, she has struck a chord with many people, even whether it's admiration, like making jokes about them, like copying them, however people decide to work with her energy. Still her energy is like very strong and like lasting and like beyond her life, so just trying to look at more of the purpose behind that. I don't feel that her daughters like mommy dearest damaged her energy or reputation really, because it's just another interpretation of like trying to describe that woman's like energy and power. Like of course like abuse is bad, and but I'm just like trying to read like her soul purpose energy and not getting into like the details of who did this, who did that. Because like, okay, it's like let me just think. Yeah, I don't know. I get this like image of her cooking, and while she may have known how to cook and she could cook some things well, I feel like she also was making it clear, like, that doesn't have to be my job. Like, so it's like this kind of level of professionalism that is respected, and like a woman's choice to work, to be like, to have domestic help, to, all this stuff, creating a new like model, not playing nice, I feel like the way she wore her makeup was like a war mask. Like, I'm going out there. Like, I remember watching a movie with her in it. I went through this phase where I was really into watching everything by this one actor whose name has jumped out of my head, but maybe I'll think of it. He's a cool actor. He was like a director, songwriter. If I had my phone right in front of me, I'd look it up. But anyway, like a guy from like the 40s and 50s stuff. So anyway, they were in a Western together, and presumably on the frontier, like they didn't have access to like cosmetics. But anyway, so in this movie, she had like her full mask on still, and like overlining her mouth all the way around. So it gives like I don't even know how to describe that. I'm not going to say clown, but it's like, it's an exaggerated mouth that isn't like doing her service. So I don't know how to describe what and like an oversized, overlined mouth, like in crimson red, like so. And it just didn't like make. I feel like she could have won an Oscar if she hadn't like worn so much makeup in that movie, because it's just like she a time traveler. Like, anyway, so so I get this vibe of like she can be like truly authentic to the max in public and at work, and it was like this makeup created some form of like stability for her. Oh, there goes my, I didn't charge my my ringlet. Anyway, so so there's that, and that's why her makeup was like over the top. It was like a security blanket, but also like a war mask. Like, you know how war masks have like a lot of eyeliner and like rosy cheeks or like exaggerated eyebrows, and it's like like, so I think in a way she wanted to have that much strength in her face to complement like her mission, which is to just like, I'm in here, like, get out of my way, like, I'm doing this, boom, and like, I feel like she didn't really care how much pain she had to go through to get that Oscar, but she like knew in advance, like, I'm gonna have this Oscar, and just like went through the motions to like get there. And it was like very, I think, taxing emotionally for her, which would have caused like enough trauma that she wasn't able to like recover from that. And I mean, there's lots of documentaries about people saying like how harsh Hollywood was, and like, of course, if you go back in time, even more harsh, and like even less, respect for women and etc. So, she's a woman in that industry dealing with like, record execs, movie execs, and she's like, in order for me to be like above you or like to be respected by you, I'm gonna like be this warrior even and show that on my face and stuff. I feel like in terms of like child rearing and stuff, like she kind of felt like, listen, you're living in a mansion, you know, you got 3 meals a day. What else do you want? Kind of thing. So from her perspective, she was parenting well, but like most people know that like unconditional love is like, you know, the force that like helps you raise kids properly and stuff. So it's just all she knew and all she was capable of, I feel like. And because she had been through a lot of trauma, like sometimes that can close the door on empathy because you've had to guard yourself against people and situations so much that you're just like wearing that armor 24/7, you know. So people in her personal life might have been surprised at how she was like in warrior mode in those like intimate situations and stuff. And so she would have seemed like really like extra to everybody, but like sorry, sirens. So but in that time and given what she was given, like how she grew up and the environment and stuff, um, and knowing her personal, maybe having intuitive insight into like, okay, I'm gonna be a successful award-winning actress. So it's like she was just like single-minded about that. And so like anybody trying to like get in her way would be like she'd like elbow them. I feel like she had respect for other like top female actresses and stuff, even if they argued or people like publicized that they argued or something. Like either way, I think she really did appreciate good work, if even if she didn't express that. I feel like people, you know, tried to get close to her to like gain financially, and she was like onto it and like didn't suffer fools gladly. I feel like at one point a studio was trying to like manipulate things in regards to her career, contract wise, payment wise, something like that. And they used the tactic of defaming her in order to do so, to like bring her value down so they didn't have to pay so much or something. And all she could do is just like kind of remain stoic and continue. It's like it's like walking slowly down a path and people occasionally coming up and like punching you and pushing you and stuff like that and just continuing to walk. I don't feel that she received like a lot of genuine love, and so it's like and it makes me like the emotions that I'm picking up are getting to my tear ducts a bit. And so it's just like, okay, this lifetime is just about being a warrior and walking this path and doing what I was meant to do, you know, despite the slings and arrows. And I think people can agree that like her contributions in acting were significant. Actually, I really liked her in that Western I saw, but I was just like trying to mentally imagine her without the makeup. Um, Similarly, like, that Kubrick movie, the one where he just used all natural light and candlelight to film it because it was like a period piece. What is it called? Ah. Anyway, it's about this guy who like becomes a soldier and then a gambler or whatever. Anyway, I forget what it's called. Anyway, I think it stars like Ryan O'Neal or something. Anyway, so there's one actress in that movie, and like I'm pretty sure she dyed her hair red, and that was the only off point of like the whole thing being so clean and like just daylight and candlelight and like natural and like so things like that in period movies like really jump out at me, and I'm like, like it'd be nice, like today, so many actresses or actors have had like work done on their face, so they can't really play period films because like nobody had lip injections back then, you know. Anyway, that's just my beef with period films and stuff. But Joan Crawford wasn't into like she was vulnerable in her acting, but in her appearance, she didn't want to be vulnerable. Even if it meant looking like you're from the 1950s in a movie from 100 years ago theme. Okay. Okay, Joan Crawford. It's possible that like the lack of empathy was handed down mother to daughter, and that's why she felt comfortable writing that expose because like, you know, it's good to acknowledge your pain and everything, but to go on talk shows about it and like, it's like a whole other thing. Like you have to look at like that's also an activity of attack. So it's like, how do you properly address abuse? And then like, are you continuing that abuse or are you like stopping it? Like, it's interesting. Think about how to properly address abuse and stuff. So, okay. Because you could almost argue like they were both in some way. So, anyway, these are just like the vibes I'm picking up in terms of like pain inflicted upon one or the other person. Okay. Okay, Joan Crawford. Yeah, so I feel like I don't know where she's buried. I imagine she'd be buried in that like cemetery in Los Angeles where famous people are buried. But I feel like she really appreciates it when fans or loved ones like leave flowers, like lilies, at her gravesite. Again, it like brings up emotion that like isn't mine, but like it was. I feel like she really liked the outdoors and like canoeing, like not like Voyager style canoeing, but like simply going out on a lake that's like flat and calm and paddling around. Um, so I'm getting that. Okay, wait, let me get this right. I'm getting that like she would appreciate having like a day camp for girls, um, named after her, where people could like just learn basic canoeing and just enjoy nature, and it doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles of normal camp of like but it's simply the experience of being in nature. And maybe this is like a charity type thing too, like where it's not like massive, but it's like people can um bring their kids for the day or even just for 4 hours and to experience nature like on a nice lake. Like maybe it's in, I don't know, where is it? It can be like in or near California or Lake Tahoe or like something like that. I don't know if she like loved Lake Tahoe or had like a place there or something. I know that personally, like my uncle used to live there, and I remember because I'm Canadian, I'm not afraid of cold water, and like the locals there were like, "Oh, it's too cold to swim in," but I was like, to me, it was like warmer than our lakes here, so I was like fine with it. But I did find like the vibes of just Lake Tahoe, like I felt like it had kind of some vortex of like some gravitational pull, maybe because it's up really high, at least on a mountain. So I kind of could feel that weird gravitational pull, like that made me feel like it wanted to pull you like almost into the water and down. I was like, it kind of spooked me a bit. So I stayed pretty close to the shore. Anyhow, like for people who aren't afraid of that, like maybe there could be like a little, not even huge, like the size of like a mansion property, like a biggish yard, and like maybe there's like it could sleep 12 people, whatever, like a day camp for girls. And like maybe it could be like some sort of charity where people who normally don't have access to nature can come and experience that and just sort of just feel that calmness and connection with nature and just the joy of simply like paddling around. So maybe it's in Lake Tahoe or somewhere, I don't know. I don't know all the lakes in California. It seems like a pretty dry place, right? But maybe, you know. Um, so I don't know if like her old movie studio or like people that fans or what, I don't know who's gonna organize that. That would be something that she would appreciate to have in her name. Because like for her, and still like this emotion keeps coming through, having strength as a woman, like physical strength. So I'm getting the impression that like it was important for her to stay in shape, and I'm like, it seems to me she was always in shape. Like she never had like weight fluctuations from what I recall. So being physically strong, mentally strong, and fulfilling your purpose is important to her. So she would want to help girls get physically strong and like feel connected. That would be like a nice legacy for her to have this place. You know, uh, I feel like she's sort of showing me like like intimate relationships she had, and it's like if people are critical of like who she was with or this or that, like let's say there was an age difference or whatever, she's kind of pointing out like, well, who else wants to deal with such a force of nature? You know, like she couldn't like attract like the typical guy, like, you know, so it's kind of like only certain people were drawn to her, so it's like that's the pool of people she, you know, dated. And I feel like even after her life, like now, like people still come after her, like criticizing her, but she's, I feel like even in spirit, she's still walking that path. She's still like walking kind of towards God, like in her purpose. And I feel like she's not completed her march, you know? Um, and I feel like in spirit, she is still kind of holding that torch of like uh, supporting women going after their goals, like specifically in the acting world. So, like, if progress has been made in terms of like women's rights, you know, respect and pay and like those things, like, I feel like her vibe is like part of that, that like help that along. I'm not saying it's the only force in it, but it's like definitely in there. And I feel like an energy of like 18 to 20%. Like there's some contribution she made there energetically. Just gonna see what else. Just think of a couple other things and then I'll sign off. I feel like I'm being shown, like, you know how there's like critics, like, you know, when you like on Criterion and stuff, you can watch the film or you can watch the commentary of the film. There's just like people kicking back going like, oh, I remember the scene, like, and she was like this that day and whatever. um she's she doesn't really like appreciate some of that, because it's like not every critic is brilliant. Not every critic, like, there's a quote that I read today, I forget who it was by, but it was a woman um from like the Paris Institute uh Instagram thing, and it was like, I don't listen to critics because more often than not they're describing the keyhole that they're looking through, that is like where the treasure's on the other side. So like she's basically saying like critics are just describing their own mentality while talking about a work of art. So it's kind of that thing, like critics are limited by their personal experiences, and she's like not into having that like as a filter through which people are watching her work. So she would appreciate it. Thank you in advance to like not have commentary over her films. I mean, I've had situations like that. I can relate. Like I put out a 10-inch record in the 90s, early 90s, and this one critic in Toronto was just like, this ham-fisted blah. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm not like expert at playing music and stuff, but like a bunch, like a at least two famous bands like took from my work. Uh, like that doesn't stop, like just because it's like poorly made doesn't mean there isn't like gold in there that like other songwriters can go like, ooh. So uh I agree on the tip of like critics are almost like people who have like a public diary or something, like talking about their feelings, or oh, I was disappointed by this album. It's like, what? Just like live your life. Anyway, so okay, back to Joan Crawford. Yeah, so she's not into critics. Just let people experience her work and like don't feel like you need to put your stamp on something, like whatever. Okay, Joan Crawford. And I just like as a parting message, I just get that like her just like in her good posture and her strength, just being like, just like that sense. And it's like, who carries that today? Like who, like it's and it's not like don't interpret that as like her being bitchy or something. It's just like her, like if let's say you close your eyes and you shut out the noise of the world and like what anyone else has ever told you, and you just like take a deep breath and you're like fully in your own power, your own energy completely, and like connected to spirit and everything, and just like to God. And then you open your eyes and it's like, are you always in that energy, or are you kind of like ducking and weaving through other people's energy? So like I think what she's trying to say is like you too can be in your power, and it doesn't mean you're going to live her exact life. You're not. It's impossible. But like here's a suggestion. Be in your own power and go after your dreams and just keep walking despite the slings and arrows, so that's good. I feel like yeah, like I really feel a lot of emotion coming from her. Like I feel like she wants to be heard instead of judged, you know what I mean? I need my hand fan to like, I'll use this Crayola box. Oh my goodness. Like, anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this reading. It was certainly interesting for me to like connect with her energy. So I like some of the information that came through. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.